Neil from Essex here at the Kubota 2024 dealer meeting. Going to join me here today. We're going to take a walk around this huge expo hall and show you some of the new equipment that you're going to see here in 2025.
Essex, a helping hand with your land.
A big change that we're excited to see for next year are all the improvements that are happening here in the KX040. This is a really important machine for us. It's a very high volume unit for us here at Essex. And the old Dash 4 model, from my recollection, has been around for 8, 9, 10 years. It's a little bit of an older machine now, and it's starting to show that age, right? You can start to tell when something hasn't been updated in a little while, especially when the rest of the Kubota machines at this point have moved on to this Dash 5 series. So a lot of the changes that have happened in here are very expected in a way. We got all the 7-inch LCD that we haven't over in our other machines. Up here on my right-hand side, the big rubberized buttons, the dial in order to make adjustments up here on the screen, but things that we expected to see. What we did not expect to see, though, was a huge increase in hydraulic flow. This machine now has a pump that's designed to match the engine output a lot better than the old model did. And with that additional flow, you can now do things like track the machine forward and back while operating all of your hydraulic functions and get that kind of expected Kubota balance that we're used to seeing, right? When you have all that flow that's able to make all those functions work in harmony, even when you're expecting that flow to go to so many different places at one time. So I'm excited to be able to get some seat time in this thing and see how that all pans out. But that bump in hydraulic flow is really significant, and it's going to bring some cool power to this machine here that maybe it could have lacked in some scenarios before. Another excavator taking that step from Dash 4 to Dash 5 is this U17. Again, a lot of the things that we look at here are going to be things that we would have kind of expected, right? The operator's station up here has been modernized. The old model had a control panel over here on the right-hand side that kind of looked aged over the years, right? This one now is going to move the controls out in front of the operator up here on this little pod on your right-hand side, giving you a little bit of control over your machine functions now to be able to go and see how that works. There was some finicky stuff in some of these smaller models before where we didn't always have things like thumb brackets or the expected controls up here on the hydraulic sticks. All of that now has been modernized for this machine, and it feels like a family product, right? So we're not, going to have you in one model and then bring you into this smaller version and find that things are different or missing compared to the other machines. So thumb brackets, control changes, modernization of the control pods up here in the front, just to bring things up to today's standards. The biggest new product that I've had my eye on for this year is this SVL50. Big's kind of a funny joke for this machine, right? This is a new compact track loader for Kubota that is 48 inches wide. So there's a market out there for these small machines for landscapers working in backyards. We've kind of outgrown that stand-on loader. And also for the contractors that are doing snow removal and need to be able to run machines up and down sidewalks. So this is a machine that is purpose-built for that application. There's actually a lot of Kubota DNA in this machine, which kind of surprised me, actually. I was expecting something maybe a little bit more basic and stripped down for this kind of thing. It's a real specialty little market. But when we look here, a lot of the things that we've come accustomed to over in the bigger SVL machines are actually here. So this is a one-piece flip-up cab, has our LCD display with backup cameras down here on the left-hand side, roll-up door, even though this is a small machine, right? They could have cheaped out and put a swingy door on here, but the roll-up door that we've become accustomed to is in this machine. And you'll notice in here too is, I'm an average sized guy, but as we see some of the bigger guys sit into this machine, it's surprisingly spacious, actually. So pretty cool. This is going to be one of those machines where I think you're going to see Kubota grow the market, right? Where this niche machine here, not a high volume segment, is suddenly going to start popping up in a lot of different places as you guys find applications where this thing really works. Pointing out some things around the back of the machine here. Backup cameras in the back door, some nice screening over top of the radiator. Serviceability on a machine like this, is going to be hard, right? When they got to shove all this stuff into this small machine. And when you pull this back door open, the radiator sits right here, giving you access to more of the inside of the engine compartment. You can see the cooling packs up here on the top. And then things like your radiator, fill tanks, fuel filter, and everything sitting right around the back of the machine here. So again, you're going to make compromises when you get into a really small piece of equipment like this. But it is clear that the effort was taken in the engineering to come out with a product that feels polished and kind of part of this family. Another important product for us is all the changes coming in the SVL 97-3. The 75-3, the prior model, has been a huge hit, and Kubota took a real leap when they rolled out a whole lot of nice changes to that model. All of that stuff is now making its way here into the 97-3 too. So this is now a pressurized one-piece flip-up cab. It has a nice integrated 7-inch monitor over here on the side. Big buttons like we showed over on the KX excavators, large rubberized buttons that if you got gloves on, stuff, it's really easy to push and operate. Great improvements to the ergonomics of the machine. You don't have to flip levers up and reach down underneath here anymore to get to your air conditioning controls. They're up here by your sides. A lot of nice improvements, of modernization of this product that really has kind of brought it to the next level, right? And again, it's our customers have been asking for this for a while. When the 75-3 made that huge leap into that new family, we wanted that same stuff here as well. Now, these screens here have showed up in more of this equipment. You're starting to get some more electronic features that are utilizing some of the functions that these things can provide us. This new feature here is called IntelliTouch. It's a little reader that can be installed on the machine with a corresponding transmitter that is installed on the implements. Once you attach that implement then to the machine, the operating parameters for that implement are passed off to this reader and then set over here on your monitor. To give you a good example, because these machines are, say, equipped with high flow, you can have 45 gallons a minute of hydraulic flow available, but if you put something like a pickup broom on the front of the machine, you don't want nearly that much flow going out to your attachment. You could blow the seals out of the motor. So by having something like IntelliTouch, when you put those two things together, it's going to automatically take your monitor, set the flow to the proper amount, to turn it down to the right spot, or to set it to a unidirectional flow if you'd like that. It's going to make it a little bit easier for, say, rental fleets and stuff who might have inexperienced operators on and off this equipment, and this is going to make sure that those settings that are right for that implement are set as soon as that machine is put together. It's kind of neat. The cool incremental improvement down here are these guards down here in the lower end of the machine. When you are running these things, you can get dirt and debris and stuff to drop in up here on the loader tower, and that can accumulate down here in the back of the machine. These clean out plates here are going to make it really easy to be able to open this up periodically and wash this out so that you don't get so much debris clogged up in here that it starts to get up into the cylinder and maybe wear some of those seals out. So that's going to be a little bit of improvement back here in terms of serviceability. On the 75-3, we also have been installing a lot of weight kits. By putting a couple of extra weights on the back of the machine, it's going to bump that lift capacity spec up a little bit higher. So if you have one of those really demanding applications and you're working these machines at the edge of their capacity, adding that additional ballast here onto the back of the machine is going to balance it out in a way that you can lift that heavier load safely. One of our favorite features in Kubota track loaders is at the sticks for operating the machine are not electronic pilots. That's something that's really common to find in a lot of machines, is those electronic sticks that don't have the same feel as what the wet hydraulically operated sticks do in a Kubota machine. Now, you give up some features, frankly, when you don't have those electronic sticks. You can't do the same amount of electronic wizardry. But this last -3 setup here, they're actually finding ways in order to implement things like adjustable track response so that when you move those sticks, you move fast or you move slow. They've found ways in order to implement some of those features now in this series and doing them with the hydraulic pilot. So that maintains the feel that these machines have already had, but actually brings some of those features that we expected it was going to take electronic sticks in order to implement. So cool stuff. Had it in the 75-3 last year. Now it's over here in the 97. Hugely important product for us. Once we have one of these on a lot, we'll probably do a good 20-minute rundown on all the stuff and show you how these things actually pan out in the real world, so you'll have to subscribe to see that. There's some more evolution of products happening over here in the RTV series. So our older model here has been the RTV-X 1140, the 2-row model with this cool convertible bed that can be either a long bed version or a short bed with 2 rows of seats. That machine, again, like some of these other ones, has been around for a little while, and it's kind of getting a refresh now. Now, we saw most of these changes already last year over in the RTV-X2, so this is the same technology that's already been rolled out over in that platform, making its way into this one. So there's nothing new here from a mechanical standpoint that we really haven't seen before. The highlights in this is an upgraded styling. You're going to notice the hood here looks a little bit more aggressive. A really nice set of bright headlights that can be high beam, low beam. Improvements in the transmission's ease of shifting, which has always been the principal complaint with the RTVs, is that when they're on hills and stuff, it's hard to get them out of gear. That's now much better in this new model. And the parking brake being up on the dash is an easier place to release that than it is down by your side sometimes, where you got to dig for it on some of the older models. So for us, all very expected changes, because we would have seen this in other models last year, but these changes now make their way out to the rest of the product line. I'm going to sound like a broken record here, because a lot of the things that just happened on the RTV Crew also happened here in the RTV Cab. Now, this would have been the RTV 1100 now for 15 years. That machine's been around for a long time, and some of this naming is changing now. The naming standards are getting mixed up a little bit. So this is now an RTV-X Cab, very clearly. That's what it is, right? All these same changes that we just discussed are happening here as well. You're going to notice the styling improvements. When I look back here inside the cab, to me it looks like mostly exactly the same machine as the older model, right? We have these updates to the parking brake and the shifting and all this kind of stuff that we just discussed, but you might be surprised to find that there is actually changes buried down underneath the cab. This one now is quite a bit quieter than the old model was. As years have gone by, this kind of our standards and expectations for how quiet these cabs are going to be continues to increase and increase. And now this is going to be one of the quietest cabs in the industry at this point. So some extra sound deadening and stuff down underneath the cab to help kind of keep that noise in the engine compartment and not making its way up into the cab was done. That's going to make it a nicer, quieter operating experience. Handful of other features here that are worth pointing out while we're talking about this machine is a set of tires. This was new for the RTV series last year. It's going to be offered on all of these models now. The idea here is a hybrid turf but tractive tire that kind of covers all situations, right? It's our all-use tire. Kubota actually didn't just pull a tire off the shelf for this application. It did actually get some research behind it to come up with a great tire for these machines. You're going to see this sand color. This is something we can now order. There was a point that this was being done in limited numbers. It's now a production option for us. So if this is appealing to you, they're now easy to find. You're going to notice the hinges here on the bed. This is Kubota's Pro Convert bed. You're able to take the sides and the tailgate here and pull them off. It's all toolless, and drop all these things off and turn this into a small flatbed if you have big things to carry. One of the cool things about these shows is we see just not the new stuff from Kubota, but also the cool stuff coming from kind of adjacent companies, right? One of those being Curtis. You've seen at this point the ZD zero-turn mower that I've had at my house for a long time, that we could do a drop-on air conditioner in a cab on a zero-turn mower. It is awesome. It has changed mowing for me. That is available now in some of the RTVs as well. Using a similar system, the mechanics here are a little bit different. This needs more tonnage out of the AC unit than the zero-turn mower does. But you're now able to take some of these open station machines and drop a roof with an air conditioning and condenser up here on the top and add AC onto a machine that you might already have. So factory AC options are fantastic, but we all know, people change their mind on some of these things after the fact. And so Curtis is giving a path forward now for a lot of you folks that might have an open station machine and kind of desiring that air conditioning option. Sometimes Kubota gets pigeonholed into being that small tractor company, right, that we always kind of picture them for, right? It's what their foundation was and what started this company, but my, has it evolved over the years. You might be surprised to see a 52-foot, 14-star Tedder painted Kubota orange. They're here now. They're going to be available. Not something that usually is sized for our market at being this large, but cool to see some of the things that this company is capable of and some of the stuff that is in their portfolio. The market continues to evolve in what people look for in three-point hitch snowblowers. The years have gone by, right, where we've always had our rearward-facing snowblowers, which are the literal pain in the neck, right? And as time has gone by, more companies have started to come out with this style of snowblower, the forward-facing snowblower, where you drive over the snow and drive forward in order to operate it. Last year, Land Pride came out with a commercial-sized version of this snowblower, but this year there's a new residential-minded option as well. Now, these are still a costly piece of equipment. They're mechanically more complicated than that older run-in-reverse type snowblower, but the productivity that you can get out of these, the speed that you can run them at, and the convenience and comfort of being able to operate it is really cool. So it's nice now to be able to have an option in a residential-sized model in addition to that high-capacity, commercially minded one. Before I fool you that I know everything that's going on is you're not seeing me reading all the signs before I start talking all the time. Looking here at the back of this M-Series tractor, we've started seeing Land Pride coming out with more things for top and tilt kits, and we're now going to have options for the LX Series, M4, M7060, to kind of continue to flesh out all the different models that we might want to put top and tilt kits on. So Kubota continues to utilize their Land Pride division to offer these accessory kits that aren't necessarily needed in every market, and so they're not global products, but here Land Pride is covering these kinds of things. The one challenge with sourcing these components, whether it's these side links or the hydraulic top links, is getting the geometry of all of this stuff right for your tractor. So there's other places in order to source these kinds of things, but we do like when we can go to Land Pride and know that we're buying something that's going to fit the geometry of the tractor correctly and is made for that specific model. So, when we have these applications that call for precision grading and you want to crown the driveway or throw the box blade kind of off center to your tractor, using these cylinders in order to do those additional functions in the back of your tractor really brings a lot of flexibility to those kinds of applications, and it's cool to see Land Pride making that easier for all of us. Another new Land Pride piece for us this year will be this RCF 2696 mower. This is a 96-inch rotary cutter. Dual spindles, you can see the gearboxes out here on the wings, but this one is constructed a little bit differently than the outgoing model. You're going to notice here that this is a smooth deck on the top. Smooth deck mowers are a little bit more costly. They're a little bit harder to construct, takes a little bit more steel in order to put them together. But by having a smooth deck on the top, the mower is going to stay clean. Particularly if you park these big things outside, you tend to get grass buildup, leaves, water, whatever, sitting on the top of the deck in those corners where all the support struts are. By buying a flat deck mower like this, the shell of the mower is going to hold up better over time because you don't have that accumulating debris on the top. Land Pride also increased the horsepower of the gearboxes on this, and by going to that flat deck, added about 2 inches to the depth of the mower. So it's a true medium-duty flat deck, high horsepower 96-inch cutter that'll fit really well behind some new tractors. For 2025, Kubota will taking our really important kind of key MX series tractor, our high horsepower utility compact tractor, and bringing another model into that product line. This is now the new MX4900, a 49 horsepower MX series tractor, where previously the two current models had been at 54 and 60. Now, by dropping this down a little bit, it brings this model down into a little bit lower price point, a little bit less horsepower in the machine. And interestingly, in my mind, it really kind of almost starts to step on top of Kubota's own L4800, right? There's already a 48 horsepower compact out here. The one thing that we do, though, get in this model now is a cab, right? So this is kind of Kubota's way of bringing this 50 horsepower utility-oriented cab down into the economy utility tractors, where the L4802 has never had a cab, right? So fantastic tractor. The thing that always draws people to the MX series is the heavy Category 2 rear end, the heavy front axles with the big tires on the front compared to a lot of our other compacts. This has become a really popular machine for us over the years, and as we're told, the Kubota Dealer Network has now sold over 100,000 of these machines over the years. Now, as we're talking about adjacent vendors here, you've seen the storage tubes that we've had on a lot of our Kubota tractors now, all coming from this gentleman.
Yes. How you doing? My name is Ryan Kitzmiller from a company called Kits Pro, and my brother and my dad and I a few years ago took an idea that's been out on DIY storage tubes. So a lot of guys in the past have been using PVC tubes to find an alternative to tool storage in their tractor, and we just took that idea and kind of formalized it and created a solution to a problem that everybody has in terms of tool storage on these compact tractors.
The thing that I think is so cool is that you would have been one of those hobbyist guys online looking at all the Kubota stuff.
For sure.
Came up with the thing, and now you're here. Like, that's an awesome
it's just been a lot of blessings and a lot of faith, and somebody gave us a chance, and we pitched the idea to Kubota, and through some good friends and connections, we're here.
The Z400 series is picking up a new engine option for this coming year. This is going to put a Kawasaki EFI engine in a smaller frame machine than what we sometimes will find it. A lot of times these EFI engines tend to be reserved for a company's big commercial machines that are being run by commercial landscapers. EFI is a little bit more costly, and so that's where that engine tends to show up. but now Kubota's bringing that down into kind of a prosumer class mower. So 26 horsepower, but with the AFI technology, really going to perform well in heavy, thick grass, keeping those engine RPMs up and that cut quality where it should be. Over in the F-Series mowers, a couple of improvements have been made here in the front hitch attachment system. Most of the rest of Kubota's product line has now migrated over to this 4-point attach, where you're able to drive into your implement, pick it up, all the pins will come into alignment, and then just by flipping 2 locking pins, it'll snap onto the front of the machine. That's now come over here to the F-Series mower, just like we've already had on the BX and RTV and everything else. It's been a solid system that we've seen in other places. One nice thing that they kept in mind here by using this, where your PTO shaft comes out and stops right here at the 4-point hitch, and then your machine will then, your attachment will interface into it. And doing it this way, you now don't have separate PTO shafts for all of your attachments, which was a little bit of a problem the way this was done previously. If you were going to go from a broom to a snowblower to something else, you might need different PTO shafts for those, and made that swap out a lot more difficult than what is going to happen with this here today. So family upgrade, we've seen this in other places, but now being applied to the F-Series as well. So that's some of the changes that we'll see here from Kubota in 2025. It is like super cool to me to be able to come to this every year, walk around and see the new models, be able to intro that stuff, but also to be able to be so impressed by all the things that all the other companies are doing here too, and even that Kubota is doing in small ways that might not warrant a whole video. So many improvements to products, new features, new stuff that we're going to have to be able to offer for next year. It's an exciting time here in our industry with all the growth that's happened in so many different areas. Just to see all this stuff happening, definitely cool to be a part of. So if you're shopping for a piece of equipment and we can help, if you got parts and service needs for a machine you've already got, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at Messick's.com.